What is up, my lovely people in Blue Tablet Land and the YouTube community? So for today's video, guys, I'm going to show y'all how I drew this girl from start to finish and pretty much just walk you through it. At some point I would like to do this in real time, as I'd said in the previous video, but for right now, this is the best I can do, where I record early on in the day and do a voiceover. So with that being said, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is draw this oval kind of a shape for her head. And this one can be pretty much a circle or even an egg, like how it is. And then I went and drew this line to show where her body's going to be and her neck. And then I drew this other line, another line to show where I'm going to put her nose. And then I'm going to draw this line at the very top to show where her eyes are going to be. A small little circle over here to show her ear. And then repeat the same thing on the other side. So when you're doing this rough sketch, it's just pretty much a guide as to how the image is possibly going to look. It doesn't have to look exactly the way this is, but it's just pretty much as a guide or a roadmap as to what you want it to look like in the very end. I'm going to do a little curve over here for her mouth. And then a small little arc over here for her nose. I'm going to do some lines over here to show where her neck's going to be. And then, since this is a girl, I'm going to give her a nice wavy look for her hair. And that's one thing, like drawing hair, definitely takes some time. Especially for me, like drawing hair, drawing hands, but eventually once you practice it, it'll come to you. It doesn't really have to always be like, something that's out of an anatomy book, because this is a cartoon image, so then, always have fun with it and make it exactly the way you want. Like for this part now, what I'm doing this arc to kind of show where our hairline is going to be. Almost made it look like as if I was drawing a helmet, and at this point it actually looks like a guy wearing a helmet on a bike. But I was like, yeah, you know what, let me just keep going with this and see how it goes. Because when I do these tutorials, sometimes I just erase and start back up because I'm like, trying to get it all perfect. And when you draw this rough sketch, it is just something that has to be really loose and just flowy, So I'm gonna do this and block out her body. And since it's gonna be a poncho, I'm just gonna do like a shape to just kind of show what the shoulder line would look like. I'm gonna give her these 2 earrings. These little shape things. This is probably gonna be the I was actually thinking of maybe it looked like a upside down ice cream cone, but go ahead and now do these curved lines to show her eyebrows. And at this point, you can pretty much add anything you want. I could probably maybe add a hair clip and just going to reduce that because it was kind of looking a little bit too big for the canvas. That's another good thing about drawing digitally. You can always resize it. Alright, so far everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and maybe make the hair look a little bit more bigger. Because when you're looking at the face straight on, you'll see the most part of the face at the bottom, and then the top part's usually obviously covered by the hair, so always try to make the hair look like it's a little bit higher than the usual head. So I'm gonna turn down the opacity now, and then just select a darker shade of color I'm working in. Now I'm going to choose the regular ink brush, and this is one of the standard ones available in Procreate by default. I mean, it's nothing fancy. I'm going to start out by drawing this oval shape for her eye. Sometimes it comes the way you want, and then sometimes you just gotta undo it and redo it all over again, which is fine. I like this feature where you can just hold down the stylus and it kind of like auto corrects and makes the circle or the oval or the box or whatever you're drawing almost, I want to say, crispy looking. This part is definitely the fun part about the digital inking part, is just doing the inking. And when you're drawing this, I always go ahead and turn the canvas, because you don't want to strain your wrist while drawing. And it's just like, think of it as a regular piece of paper. So if you were drawing with an A4 size, I mean, you would just turn the piece of paper around and go ahead and position it where it's comfortable to make these arcs. So here what I went ahead and did was I made an extra layer to do this arc. So that way when I choose the eraser, I could just erase this line out, and I didn't have to worry about going into the other line and having to redraw it all over again. That's one good thing about using multiple layers when you're drawing. But yeah, doing these tutorials, I know, takes some time, and this one is a little bit shorter than the one that I did prior to this, and I kind of shortened it to about 49. And I mean, like, sometimes I think when I try to aim for a certain time slot, it usually doesn't happen that way. So it's like, it's all based on what I'm going to be drawing. Like, I know this one and then the one prior to this, I mean, because it had so much line art in the dress part of it, or the clothing. I think that's what pretty much took or takes the time in the video. But if I were to keep it simple, I'm sure I could have probably got it under the 25 to 30 minute mark. Pretty much when I do these the inking part of it, I mean, I'm just doing something straight out of my mind. I mean, I don't really think it through. Thought I'd give her a nice little thing called a bindi, or it's also called a tikka in India, if I'm not mistaken. So I thought that would add some more character to her. And then now for the top of her head, I just went ahead and drew this arc, held it down so it would snap into place. Sometimes it comes in the first try, and then sometimes you gotta try it like maybe once, twice, thrice again. It's all based on how you see it to come out, and if you feel it looks good, roll with it. If you don't, just erase and start out again. So went ahead and erase this line over here. So now I have room for her ears. And just a heads up, guys, if you hear that noise in the background, it is probably some of the construction equipment outside. And yeah, I tell you, the construction equipment is fun to watch, but when it pretty much goes on all day long, it kind of gets a little bit old. But hey, what do you do? Just keep on drawing. Alrighty. So that's, and like the yacht came out, so try it again. This part about the inking process also, I like to always take my time, and always, the reason I keep zooming in and out is because I noticed that if you don't and you just draw it from a point where you don't zoom in and out, it kind of looks a little bit funny in the end. So the whole point of zooming in and out is to make sure it looks good when it's zoomed up, because pretty much what I was trying to say is if the lines look good up close, then they're definitely going to look way better when they're from a distance. And I think using the different line weights also definitely gets some cool looking looks to the character that you're doing. And when you draw a lady character or a lady in general, I like having these smooth curves. Now if I was drawing a guy, it would probably be more squarish and more like chisel kind of shaped. But yeah, so this looks good so far. Just gonna erase this extra part out here. And then add these small little curves just so the line looks more smoothed out, or smooth. Sometimes I lose my trail of thought, as I tell you guys, and my words, and then I just kind of make some crap up. So now for this mouth that I'm gonna draw over here, it came out initially good and kind of just followed the curve that I did draw out roughly. But then I think what I did and messed it up is I kind of did these curves, which kind of made it look, or kind of made her look like, I don't know, like she had this, I don't know, this weird kind of a frown, guppy kind of a smile. And I was like, yeah, you know, I was like, the more I looked at it later on, I was like, I mean, at this point, I was like, it was okay. But then as I continued to draw, it didn't look the way I wanted it to look. So for this, for the earrings, and since I drew the rough sketch in a triangular way, I kind of wanted to give it the look like it's got this upside down ice cream cone kind of look. And I don't know, that's the shape or the thought that came in my mind while I was drawing it. So I was like, you know what, let's go with that. So it looks like she's got these cool looking cones for earrings. And if you're wondering, the inspiration behind this girl is definitely my daughter. And this is something that I want to remember going back now 20 some years or however long it's been. I think this is something, or how she dressed up for one of the events she had at school growing up. So my wife was in charge of dressing her up, and yeah. So the inspiration to draw my art is all around me. The first man was just the man with the big mustache. This one was just a random thought of drawing my daughter. So yeah, I just wanted to make her look all goofy looking, because that's her character. And now for the eyes, I wanted to try something a little bit different for the eyelids, where I drew this swoopy kind of a line, kind of like the Nike sign. So it looks like it will be easier to draw the eyelashes. Now usually I would just draw this as a curve, which is what I drew for the previous one. So I want to try something a little bit different with this one. And I think it came out cool. So it almost looks like she's got like the big eyelashes, and then I just go ahead and add that in at a later point. And for the eyes, I just drew this really exaggerated big pupil, which I think when you draw the pupil bigger, it gives it that more goofy look. when you draw it smaller, it kind of looks like as if the character is kind of has some emotion or is kind of angry, or you know. So yeah, so definitely wanted to make her happy. And this is what I did for the eyebrows. I'm sorry, not eyebrows, the eyelashes. That'd be weird if her eyebrows were down there on her eyes. The using the different what do you call it, pressure sensitivity of the brush definitely helps in making these lines. You know, where you start out thin and then press on it a little bit, and then you get this nice thick line. Just something is really when you're drawing this, it's really soothing to do this and really entertaining, because I mean you can get this similar look if you are using, I want to say it's probably maybe like a paint marker. I've seen some artists use it, but I've never really used it myself. But I think if I would ever get one and use it someday, I think it would be a cool thing to do. I think for doing calligraphy, I think it would be really cool. So for this part, to do the shine in the eyes, what I just did was I chose the eraser and just erased out a little circle, and then another smaller one below that, so it gave it like this nice shine look. And then I just did the exact same thing on the other side. And I mean, again, you can try something different. I mean, I've usually seen ones where they are like a comma with a little dot on the top to show the shine. And then I've seen this one done a few times before, so I thought, like, you know. So at the bottom, I just gave her eyelid to kind of look like that. But then it was not looking really good, so I kind of lowered it a little bit. So I think that one looks nice. And the good part about this is when you do these is so many different things you can try, you know, like when you draw eyes, like, you know, if I was going to make her look angry, I would just have to tilt the eyelids. If I was going to make her look surprised, I mean, I'd probably have to raise the eyelids, you know, kind of have like that surprised look. Drawing these cartoon characters is definitely fun and interesting, and the fact that because as I told you guys on my other channel, I mostly draw skeleton art, so it's nice to take a few steps back and try to draw. And when I say a few steps back, it's cool to draw a humanoid type of character as opposed to just drawing skulls. So it's kind of like a mix of both worlds. I've never been a big fan, or I've never been really that good at drawing anatomy, so that's probably one of the reasons why I chose to draw skeleton art. I think also skeleton art is cool because, I mean, you can really exaggerate the portions, and, you know, just with cartoons, you know, I mean, cartoons is another thing. You can use your imagination and just take it as far as you want it to go. So yeah, so now for the neck, just gonna draw these curved lines. What I was initially gonna do was just draw 2 curved lines, and then I just thought I'd do something different where I kind of curve it, and then that was not coming out, so then I went back to the original of drawing these curved lines and then just raising out the top. And once again, for this, I mean, you know, it's all about using multiple layers, so that way you don't have to worry about accidentally erasing out lines that you didn't intend to erase. Every now and then I always go back and forth between the layers to make sure I'm on the correct layer, because that's one thing that's really frustrating if you do it when you're drawing digitally, is if you continue doing some work, especially on line art, and you end up being on the wrong layer. Oh man, there's only so many undos that you can do. So yeah, that's one thing you definitely gotta pay attention to, because you don't want to be coloring or doing your ink work on the wrong layer and then having to spend and obscene amount of time to undoing the piece. So now for the poncho part, I just followed the shoulder line and just brought that down. What's funny about the poncho is early on when I was drawing this, I asked my wife, I said, what is that thing you and my daughter bought? And I called it a poncho. And she's like, what is a poncho? And I was like, that thing you guys bought from Kohl's. She's like, it's not poncho, it's poncho. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I just kind of made up my own fashion accessory that didn't really exist. But yes. So now for this part, to accessorize the poncho, I just kind of drew these oval shaped discs around to kind of give the fabric some sort of character and make it look like it's got different types of fabric all put into one, so it kind of make it look like it's not just one fabric used. And I think this part was definitely fun because with this you can definitely play around with the design and give it that really nice unique look. So what I was doing over here is I wanted to show the illusion that Poncho has kind of got like this big, what do you want to call it, like a kind of like a necklace, or gosh, sorry about those noises, guys. As I said, I try, and if you can hear it, I apologize. Always fun making these voiceovers when you got all these damn annoying noises around you. You ever had those days where you want to focus on doing something and you have everything and anything that is just about ready to mess up your entire day? But yeah. So as I said, what I wanted to do was I wanted to give the look and feel like this is some sort of a huge necklace kind of imprinted into the poncho, and see how it goes. Well, hopefully that noise is kind of done and we don't hear any of it through the video, but I don't want to make any guarantees and over deliver and over promise and under deliver. I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, so once I was done with this, I kind of just made these random little boxes around the chest area, just to give it some kind of pattern of almost like small little tiles or buildings. I don't know. That's at least that's my thought process when I was drawing it early on in the day. So yeah. So we have our girl so far. Now this part in drawing her hair was an interesting part, because as I said, drawing hair and drawing hands is something that I'm not the best at, but I always try different takes at it. So after a bunch of takes, I decided to draw these little pigtail ponytails, which I think kind of came out a whole lot better than the other things I tried prior to this. And I'm not gonna stop trying. I'm definitely gonna try it, but because of the video and if I had to keep recording, I think this section alone would have been like maybe 10 to 15 minutes of just drawing it and erasing it, drawing it and erasing it. And it's okay to erase and it's okay to start back up. If you're not happy with what comes out, just undo it and restart back up. And the thing that I did different in this, or when I do things when I'm going to draw, if I'm unsure of how it's going to turn out, I just make a new layer and then draw edit. If it comes out as anything close to what's in my mind, I go ahead and keep the layer and then just merge it down with the main layer that I'm drawing on. But if not, I just delete it and then just restart back up. Some days it comes, and then some days it does not. Today was one of those days when it was just not coming, and I was like, my gosh, I was just getting so frustrated myself. I was like, why can't I draw hair? And if you think about it, hair is much more simpler than drawing hands, because hands, there are so many positions that the hands change. So yeah. Another one technique that I use when I draw hair is I just draw wavy and swirly lines and then just keep connecting them. And I think maybe I might just do a small tutorial, a small video, and just showing you what are the other different ways that I do use when I draw hair. And since this one was just a cartoon character, I was like, you know what, let me make it look cartoony. So I just gave these extra strands of hair that kind of come out through the pigtail when you're tying it. And it looks good so far. And then to give it the look like it's a ponytail, I drew these curved lines to show the strands of hair. And once again, these were on a different layer, which is why I went past the earring and into the face, because I was just going to be able to erase it out, so I don't have to manually stop the brush. That's another one cool thing in drawing in Adobe Fresco. Now if I was doing this in Adobe Fresco, I could go past the lines and just use the Adobe vector trimming and trim out those lines. But for Procreate, you just got to go the extra step and make an extra layer. So that's the only downside. It's not that bad. You just have to remember to be conscious about making that extra layer, because if you don't, once you go to erase out, then you're like, oh, you know what, I should have made another layer. Then I just went and repeated the exact same lines on this side. Now here you'll notice I should have gone past the earrings, or the earring over there, but then for some reason I stopped it and then realized till later on while I was coloring it, I was like, oh, should have drawn that line in. But yeah, so once that's done, you just erase the extra lines and boom, you have a nice finished crispy line against another line, and you don't have any extra things sticking out or any extra lines. And I said extra lines way too many times. Ay. So what do you guys think of the video that I did prior to this, which was the mustache man? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all draw along? I know it's a real long video, but you know, like when you make these long videos, yes, it takes time, but they're more fun to make in the aspect, like, you don't have to think about a clock and timing it down. And oh yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier on. So I just went ahead and selected the mouth and took it out, and then start from scratch, because it was just, I don't know, you kind of look like a monkey mouth. Well, that's what I wanted to change. And then just used the stylus and took off the sharp parts of the mouth at the very end. And I think it looks better with the no curves at the end. Some mouths, they look nice, and then some mouths, they kind of look okay. Now for this part, here's another part of the drawing which took me some time, which I was trying to get her hair on the top all nice. So I went ahead and drew a couple of lines prior to this, deleted it, started out again. And as I said, if I had kept this in the video, and shown it to y'all, I'm sure it would have been way past an hour and something. And I'm sure I don't think anybody wants to see that additional jazz. So I just went ahead and deleted that out, and then just started recording fresh as I was on a time crunch to make sure that the video doesn't end up being way too long. But like as I was saying, to making these long videos, what's nice is you can just draw at your own pace, and hopefully the viewer that's watching on can also draw at their own pace and doesn't have to feel like it's rushed. The thing about making edited videos is you're always in some sort of a crunch on time to make it feel where you gotta crunch and jam all this information into 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 7 minutes, which is why I'm not a big fan of shorts or short format videos. I mean, I just think it's a waste of time, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes to promote the channel. So I don't know, maybe down the line, maybe I might add some few simple shots to the channel, just showing, you know, how to draw simple things, like maybe how to draw a goofy eye or a nose or a mouth or something that's, you know, not a whole lot of teaching, but just something simple. So for the coloring part of the year, now what I went and did early on is I went ahead and selected the colors which are in my right hand corner, if you can see, and you just select the color and drag it and drop it. And that's another thing that saves time when you're making a video, is when you go ahead and decide upon the colors that you're going to use. It makes it so much easier when you're going to hit the record button, so that way you don't have to take the time to do the trial and error as to what the colors are going to be. So I chose this beige looking color for her skin, so it kind of has a nice contrast with her hair. And then originally I had chosen green for the outfit, but then I kind of really like the blue, so went ahead and changed it to blue and some orange, because I think the blue and the orange really have that nice good contrast. And then maybe some little bit of yellow. I noticed the yellow does not have a good contrast as much as the orange, but once you do the shadowing, it kind of changes it a little bit, because that's definitely one color along with purple to color along. It takes time to learn how to shape those colors well to make sure that they really pop on the design or whatever you're using them for. But yeah, it's been a little while since I've used Procreate, so it's always that trying to remember which program has what features, because in Adobe Fresco you can actually use the paint bucket tool, and in this one you gotta go to the very top right corner and then just keep dragging the colors. And then it does have that feature where you can just tap the colors, but sometimes if you want to add more than one color, it kind of becomes, I don't know what you want to call the exact correct word, it kind of becomes a little bit annoying, because you gotta undo the clicking action and then go back into manual mode to select the color. But for the most part, as if you're going to be just dropping one main color for the most part, you see that little yellow kind of gave it a little bit of a different color, but then I was like, nah, it looks better blue. This part of the video actually takes a little bit longer, and I think it's also because of the constant tapping and changing of the colors. And I think personally on this part of the video, I'm doing the colors, I like having the audience or the viewers that are following along, just choose their own colors. It's nice to see what are the color patterns or color palettes people would like out there. So I chose the blue for her eyelids to kind of make it look like she's wearing some sort of an eyeshadow, which I know nothing about, but I wanted to try and see if I could kind of pull it off and make it look like she had like this nice, what do you want to call it? This airbrush kind of shadow look to her eyebrows. But yeah, doing the coloring part in these videos is fun because I mean each color reacts and looks so much different once you add the shadow to it. And with the new technique what I used in the first video or the video prior to this, where I used the line art and just turned down the opacity to make it look like give it the illusion that I'm actually doing shading. And for new people that are watching and new followers and new artists, if you're wondering what opacity is pretty much think of it as I'm taking the line art or the line layer and just, if I were to be doing it traditionally, it's basically like as if I was watering it down. So that's kind of what the opacity means, is it kind of like makes the color look transparent to a certain extent. And I think it's a really cool way to shadow or add shadow to any piece, because what ends up happening is if the colors that you've chosen is not looking as crispy or as cool or as good as you wanted it to look, you can always go back in and change the color, and you don't even have to worry about changing out the shadows, because what ends up happening is, like now for this for example, the hair kind of has the brown look on the top and then the darker brown on the bottom. If I were to change out her hair to like a lighter brown, it would just automatically take on the shadow look of that color, and there's not a whole lot you got to change up. But now if you do it manually, where you actually use a manual color and you actually use shade, then you can't really do that. I mean, you got to go back in and delete the whole color and start back up from scratch. So this technique, especially when you're doing digital art, I mean, definitely helps a lot. For the adding of the highlights now, I mean, not so much. Pretty much what I do is I just add the highlights to the actual flat color layer and go about it that way. As I was saying, like, you know, see, like now for the yellows, doing this technique really helps because you don't have to guess as to which shade of yellow will actually look good. I mean, it automatically does it for you, and it's got that nice, very supple, very soft look to it. So it's not like a very harsh transition from the light color to the shadow. And this right here, I believe, is at the 30% opacity or at the level. So if you want to make it lighter, obviously you turn down the opacity to about 20. And then if you want it darker, obviously you just raise it back up. But if you go anything past 30, max 40, I mean, then it almost just looks like a black or a darkish patch, which it defeats the whole purpose then. So at that point, I mean, if you're gonna do that dark, I mean, you're just better off just changing the color and just trying something different. But yeah, the shadowing or drawing the shadows in definitely takes some time, and it's all about trial and error. I mean, you know. But yeah. Sometimes what I like to do different is, instead of just using the regular brush that I used, or in this aspect to do the shadowing, I like picking a textured brush. So it almost gives the illusion that the fabric has got more of a texture than having that digital look. Like especially now in Procreate, I mean, if you go under the textured brushes that come preloaded, there is one brush that has this spattered look. So it kind of gives the nice look, like, you know, it's kind of like a denim fabric. So it looks a whole lot different than just doing it like in a regular brush like this. And for this part of the year, I just wanted to give the illusion that, you know, that the poncho had some sort of a crashed sea wave look to it. So that's what I was going for over here. But overall, for the most part, I think shading kind of came out nice. And you know, there's, I mean, so many things you can do when it comes to shading. I mean, you can start out with these dark colors, and then you can play around with the lights. And some days what I'll do is when I'm not recording, I'll just draw something randomly and then just practice my shading. And I'll look at Pinterest, just got like a whole lot of examples on some people that, or some artists that have or do their shading digitally. I mean, they've just got a beautiful way of making every color pop and just make it look like that vibrant, almost like a neon light kind of look, which is definitely cool when you think about digital art. I mean, yeah, I mean, you can't really duplicate that completely when you do traditional art, but I mean, the once you learn the tricks and the tips of doing digital art, I mean, there's so much. I mean, you can really dive really deep into every section of it to make your drawings look and feel almost lifelike. I mean, when I watched movies like Disney movie, Pixar, I think what is it, Monsters Inc. And trying to think, I don't know if it was Frozen. I don't know if that was by Pixar as well. But I mean, the look and feel of the characters, I mean, it just mind blows. I mean, it's really mind blowing in the aspect of how realistic they get these things to look. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's just an animation and a cartoon, but beautifully done. So, yeah. Pardon me for sometimes when I talk my gibberish, because sometimes I'm just excited to tell you guys what my thought process was when I was drawing these pieces. It's like sometimes I'm like, I just get carried away and I'm like, no, I have to restart recording. But I was like, you know what, let me just keep it in, because, you know, at the end of the day, this is YouTube. I tell myself that this is not Hollywood. I'm no professional editor. I am just an artist on YouTube trying to share my art and teach my lovely followers out there how to draw. You know, if y'all come along for the journey, thank you very much for your time. And I really hope, besides drawing, you'll enjoy this tutorial / story time / sometimes just some gibberish and some random talk. But I mean, you know, I mean, like, yes, obviously, I mean, like, if I were to do this live, I would tell you exactly what I'm telling you right now. It's just that then it would be in real time. It wouldn't be where I recorded this a few hours earlier in the day and then just chose some point random in the night to record it. But yeah, so for the shading part of the hair, I mean, I think this kind of came out nice. And now honestly, if I was doing this as shading for my other characters, I probably would have tried a different approach and not done it this way. But I wanted to try something a little bit different, and did the same thing for her eyeshadow over here, which I probably should have used the textured brush. Maybe would have come out a little bit different. So it looks like it almost has like an airbrush kind of a feel. Maybe I'm gonna try it for the other piece. So yeah, I don't know, I'm trying to think what is it I want to record for the next few ones. These character drawings is really fun. It's goofy. I mean, you know, you can add so much to it. And I don't know, I kind of like sharing with you guys and drawing like the Indian theme items, which is why I started with, you know, the man with the big mustache and then this girl. So I don't know, maybe for the next one, maybe I might draw like a traditional village lady, you know, maybe with a pot on her head or something. So instead of just being a regular how to draw video, it'll be a character that is actually, I don't know, something which has got, what do you call it, some, I'm trying to get the term now. I don't know what I was trying to say, but basically what I was trying to hint at is I want to draw people from different parts of the world in these illustrations, so it kind of looks like not only am I teaching you all and showing you all how I draw, but just sharing different people from different parts of the world and showing you all what they wear and what is considered normal, and you know, in this wonderful crazy world that we live in. This is another thing I've tried for this piece is went ahead and used the eraser and just erased out the shadow part, so it kind of makes it look like it's got some sort of a highlight. And then I chose a lighter color for this to show some sort of highlight. But yeah, this part, I mean, especially with the shading, I mean, you can really make it as glossy and as bright as you want it, or you can choose colors that nobody'd ever think of. I mean, you know, you really have to have fun with this and try out the different colors. For me, I like blues, as you can obviously tell, because I don't know, something about blue is very calming when you look at it. It's like, you know, when you look at the ocean and, you know, you just have that nice zen feeling. So yeah, that's my thing, why I'm so fascinated with the color blue. Yeah, so far she's looking nice. And you know, honestly, I think if I would have spent some more time on this, I mean, this obviously more than being 48, 49 minutes, I don't know how much it is at this point. I think it would have probably been a longer video, and I think if that's something you're okay with and you want to follow along, then yeah, you know, I mean, I will make something and show you all the complete process. I mean, if I were to do the complete process, I'm sure it would be well over an hour, and I don't know if my camera would be able to record that long, but we'll see. So far it's held up, and I hope it holds up for a little bit more longer. But yeah, what do you guys think so far? Do you all like this little girl that I've drawn, aka my daughter? And I don't know, as I said earlier, you know, drawing a girl or drawing a female character in general is not my strong suit, but you know, I always like to keep trying and experimenting and seeing what comes out the best. Usually when I stick with the cartoon characters, it comes out nice and goofy looking, so I kind of stick with that. And then for this part, what I was doing, or the highlights, I just chose a really lighter version of the blue for her fabric to make it look like it's got like that glow, kind of like that silky look to the fabric. But yeah, well, hopefully somebody's still watching at this point, or it'll just be me talking to the camera. Sometimes it is a little bit odd and goofy to do these voiceovers, because if you're doing a voiceover in a public area, people honestly look at you like, man, this person seems to be talking to themselves. And then when I'm doing it in the house, it's always a battle to find that perfect time where there's not a whole lot of noise. And as it was early on in the video where you had that, I don't know what the hell the person was cutting or what they were doing, but as I said, it's always a challenge. Alright, I think we are getting close to getting done, guys. So with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed this video and followed along, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye for now.